Today we are discovering what secrets The Amazing Race did not tell us in the edited TV show. Some of these are game related, some are strategic, and some are just plain silly. Basically, as long as it isn't part of the show that aired on television, it is fair game to be considered a secret, and heads up, these secrets can be about literally any season of the show. So with that, let's count all 25 of them in absolutely no particular order. Number 1. If you have ever seen Survivor, then you know that show edits everyone to fit into the story of the season, so the show will drop subtle and sometimes not so subtle hints about who's going to win it all. Why do I mention this? Because some have wondered, does The Amazing Race do this? And actually, they don't, even though they easily could, and here's why.
Ordinarily, the editors, all the editors would be working on the show during the last week of the actual race. So most editing would begin before we knew who won, but definitely at the end of that first or second week of editing, we know how the race turns out. We couldn't really approach the show, okay, these guys are going to win, so make them look like winners, because sometimes that's not really the case. So if we, manipulated something in some way to show, oh, they're going to win, okay. But the reason I bring that up is that it's again more evidence, I think, to show the reality, because that's far more interesting than any kind of manipulation. So even though we knew that they won, we just approached every single episode as its own race.
Number 2, I've always wondered about the logistics of how they film the show, since the constant traveling around has to be an insane thing to plan for. In this secrets video and in the next one, because there is a next one, I will be touching on a lot of these issues, but for now, does Phil have some sort of makeup person following him around everywhere?
I had a shower since I left LA. In order to look somewhat presentable, I wash my own hair on the side of the road and stick my head out the window of the van to dry my hair. Yeah, it's very easy to dry this hair. Sydney hair dryer technique. It's hot enough. How's that? It's looking all right. A lot of times we shoot all day. We fly through the night to another country. We get up, we shoot all day. We fly through the night, we get up, we shoot all day. So sometimes we won't get to a hotel for 6-7 days to get some sleep. And you don't really sleep that much on the race. I just close my eyes, put that thing on. You do it yourself? Pump, yeah, well, there's no makeup artist on the road. So I just go, you get like a nice even,
Number 3, Bertram and Elise created The Amazing Race, and from everything I have heard, they still travel with everyone on every season. That's some serious dedication. So they would know better than most which places are great to film in and which places just straight up suck.
It depends what country we're in, but in India we always have a whole slew of people who have no idea what they do.
Locals.
They show up with very nice pressed pants and white shirts, and they all congregate with cell phones, have no idea what to do. I don't know if they're just to make the budget higher or just to have a function there. I have no idea. It depends from country to country. In Europe, it's all very effective. There's no issue there. They know it's all by the book. Boom, boom, boom. They do television production. In Japan, very difficult place normally to shoot, but we have an American facilitator. That's fantastic. I tried to count it the other day. One count was at one point was over 2,000 people, but I think it's more like 1,400 people on the entire race.
So that's including people in different countries and people from our production. Our production staff, the core that travels around once we leave to start shooting, I would say it's between 50 and 70.
By the way, thank you for watching Once Upon an Island. Liking and subscribing really helps the channel, and if you want to pick what videos I make and watch every video weeks and even up to 6 months early, then consider supporting the channel on Patreon. If that interests you, then check out the link in the description. Thank you for your support. Number 4, this next secret is a bit simple, but apparently the show has a rule about the contestants and how far away they can get from the cameraman.
We switch crews out between contestants and crew members, so that you're not always the same crew is not always staying with the same group of contestants. And then in order to fly around the world, we have what we call a 20-foot rule. So the contestants always have to stay within 20 feet of the camera team. So that when they're running, when they run too far away, they got to come back and stay with these guys. So this is a 20-foot rule, but these are kind of the rules. And they cannot go on an airplane without, so if there's only 3 seats left and there are 4 people, they cannot go on the plane. So when they buy a ticket, they have to buy 2 tickets for themselves and 2 tickets for their children, which is my camera crew. You cannot leave the airport without your children.
Number 5. If you are a fan of Survivor, then you know that when the players are voted out, they get to go to a resort called Ponderosa. Well, The Amazing Race has a very similar place that they fly their eliminated contestants to called the Elimination Station. The footage you are seeing here is from season 12, though there is footage from seasons 12 through 17 publicly available, with our first team from season 12 being, well, you'll see.
And then all of a sudden Ari starts talking about TK and Rachel.
Do you expect to see us? Or
No.
were you?
I mean, if TK and Rachel would have walked through there too, I would have been like, okay.
I would have been happy.
That's obvious.
I would have been extremely happy just because they don't deserve. I don't feel like they don't even deserve it.
Meet our drama queen.
And then he starts dishing about Vixen and Kent.
When we had seen Vixen and Kent, we were like, damn, they're gonna be carrying so much.
Yeah,
because
how are
just their
they gonna
makeup
keep their
alone.
makeup?
Oh, are they? Are they a couple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Who's the guy in the relationship?
You are rotten.
You're not nice. The whole Kent and Vixen, when I started talking about their makeup and whatnot, they, they just were like, no, that's just, them, and maybe we should just, have a whole makeup thing, just, I don't know.
Goth night.
We'll have clown night.
No. It would be only if you're respectful. If you're not respectful, you don't get to play.
Monkey or not.
But you have to have respect, okay?
You know what? These are my opinions. Off.
Number 6. As you may have been able to tell, Ari is a bit salty. This isn't the end of the saltiness though, as when Pat and Kate, aka the second eliminated team, arrive at the elimination station, he's mad at them.
Shut the up. Thought you were deacons.
You're mean.
Pat and Kate kept cutting me off. I was just getting heated.
We didn't want to step over somebody unless they step over us first.
Right,
exactly. We
but
were
we
trying
like
to, we
so
were trying to
knew
play
that
it
you
fair
told those
first.
people not to tell us there was the 445
She just
ferry.
like, oh no, don't make, and just like, and I was like, oh, this hood rat just did not stop me from talking. So I just had to get up, get the plates out. It was just annoying. I'm gay, they're gay. I didn't want to hear their babble bull. I really didn't care.
Number 7. Back in the day, Saturday Night Live used to have a subpar competitor called Mad TV. Sometimes this show struck gold and sometimes they just suck. Actually, that sounds just like SNL too. Anyways, in 2004, they parodied the presidential candidates and included Sharla and Myrna from seasons 5 and 11 of The Amazing Race.
And now the conclusion of The Amazing Presidential Race.
I teamed them with the real stars of The Amazing Race, Sharla and Myrna.
Hey, I'm on your team.
Nader! No,
Bring it on. I'm not for...
Hey! That golf cart ain't gonna fit on the overhead bin.
For this roadblock, one member of each team must carry a 50-pound side of beef on their shoulders while eating an ostrich egg covered in 2 pounds of caviar. Charlotte, that's perfect for you. Yeah, big surprise.
Sharla and Myrna, congratulations. You're the first team to arrive.
Well, honey, I've had an experience.
We're out of time.
Number 8. Now you may think we saw the end of Ari being mad at people, but no. Somehow, despite this being after leg 4, when Lorena and Jason say who U-turned them, Ari is triggered.
We literally did both detours, hit the whole leg of the race yesterday, almost faster than everybody else did.
Who U-turned you, wait?
The
Who did it?
blondes.
Shayna and Jen.
They were U-turned by the blondies.
And I think if, Shayna and Jen showed up, I personally would love to just tell them off.
Number 9. This is the last elimination station secret for this video, but when Shanna and Jen are eliminated and see everyone, no one believes their apologies.
The first thing I wanted to do was apologize to Lorena and Jason because we had U-turned them on the leg right before this that they got eliminated on.
You U-turned them?
Yes,
Why?
We knew she was gonna apologize.
The only problem was that they thought that they saw us, they said, so they had to U-turn us, even though we were still an hour and a half behind them, which I didn't really read into it too much, but I was just like, you didn't see us.
They said they saw us, which I don't think they did because I didn't see any other cars there.
Number 10. Do you remember Andrew from season 3? His dad was very conservative and Andrew was very much gay. But after racing together, they bonded closer than they had ever been before. Well, 20 years later, Andrew was on Naked and Afraid when this happened.
At sunrise, Elizabeth is still experiencing pain from her scorpion sting, so the medic is called in to evaluate her.
Considering everything that we found out today, In Andrew's condition, he already has an infection.
The results from the med check were cause for serious concern.
I think for your well-being, which I think is compromised, I think we need to medically tap both of you.
Number 11. For the 20th anniversary of The Amazing Race, we see an incredible interview with Colin and Christy from seasons 5 and 31, where they talk about many insightful things, such as how they were recruited for the show.
She was Miss Teen USA when she was 19, and so she used to get recruited for these reality shows, but she was acting, so she always just like defaulted to like no on reality shows, because back then real actors didn't do reality shows. But she got this call about this Amazing Race where you travel, and she's like, oh, another reality show called me today. It's called Amazing. And we hadn't heard of it, but I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, this looks amazing. We're going to travel around the world and get to bungee jump, skydive, and do all these cool things. Yeah. So yeah, we said, hey, we should send in a tape.
Number 12. The show has changed quite a bit between seasons 5 and 31, and Colin and Christy say exactly what changes they noticed with The Amazing Race when they came back to play the second time.
But in general, especially the newer seasons, it's actually abundant time to eat. You're waiting at this train station, or you're waiting for this flight. And really, you know, in the past, the legs were much longer. In season 5, it would be normal for a leg to last 2 or 3 days, you know, that you're traveling across the world, you know, and you're figuring it out on your own. I think now they've gotten a lot more efficient with their production. They keep it a lot tighter. And so a lot of times, like, all the teams are on the same flight, and then you basically land in a new city, and that race in that city might be 3 to 7 hours. You know what I mean? And you've eaten just before you start the race. So it's, you know, really like the food thing, especially the second time around. The first time around, it was more of
we were skin and bones when we came home.
Well, because that's also when you might break down communication. Like if you're hungry, like
we were, it was much easier to be like very worn down and tired. Yeah. The first time around.
Because they also, in between each leg, it was either 12 hours or 24 hours, and they were pretty strict on that.
Almost always 12.
And usually 12. Season 31, it's not so much.
Not as much.
I kind of got set up in a little bit more cush hotel.
Number 13. Here's a pro tip for anyone going on a future season of the race. Colin and Christy kind of figured out what kind of task would be on the upcoming leg based on how production would mic them up.
Sometimes they would put a recorder on you as well. So they had wireless mics, but then sometimes it looked like a wireless mic, but it was just a recorder. And so you know that either you're gonna get really far away from the wireless transmitter, and then they would put the recorder in a condom and then rubber band it so that it would be waterproof. And so that would be a really good indication that, like, oh, okay, we're gonna probably do something that's really physical, or we're gonna be getting wet, or we're gonna be getting super muddy, you know, where they think that the wireless mic may fail during the challenge, and they want to have a backup recording.
When you're only getting one clue at a time, you're looking for anything. Yes.
Number 14. Back in the day, there was a TV show that tried to put celebrities undercover doing normal retail jobs. But for Phil Kogan, it's kind of impossible for him to be undercover because he's so instantly recognizable.
I see you somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah, I get that a lot. You know me?
Amazing Race.
Yeah. I get that. I do impressions, by the way. I'm going to do the guy from Amazing Race. Okay. He's from New Zealand. Ready? Georgie and Lauren, ready? And go, 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 go! Georgie and Lauren?
Yes, sir.
You're the last team to arrive. I'm sorry to tell you that you've both been eliminated from the race.
Oh, man!
Number 15. In an interview with the first winners of the race, we hear from Rob and Brennan about applying for season 1 and how the show they were applying for didn't have a name yet, didn't really have many logistics already. There was a lot they had to figure out on their own.
When you say that we went into it without knowing anything, we went to the store trying to figure out what to, obviously we knew we had to carry backpacks, but what are we going to put in those backpacks? And so we contact production, and all they told us was, we won't let you die from the elements. And we didn't even know what that meant. So we're in like some adventure store, and
REI or whatever it is,
and we're trying to tell the guy without telling him what we're doing. So we told people that we were going on a college trip. It was like a college course. If we ended up with a tent in our backpack.
Yeah, we left like this $500 tent.
Hold on, you brought a tent on the Amazing Race?
How were we to know? We didn't know what we were going to be doing. Yeah, that tent is now being used by somebody in, where was it, South Africa? We just dumped it because we realized we never were going to need it.
At Shumba Valley Lodge in South Africa. We realized right away that it was just going to slow us down. We had sleeping bags. We brought quite a bit of food because, of course, that was when Survivor. The big thing on Survivor was they didn't eat much, and they had.
Hold on a second. I had no idea that you guys brought.
We packed
sleeping bag.
high-calorie nuts, energy drinks. But it's funny watching the show now because everybody's so streamlined. They've got like one small little backpack, and we were lugging around with like these 50-pound.
They had streamlined backpacks.
That's why the backpacks are so big at the starting line.
Nobody knew what we were doing.
Yeah. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. You guys never told us.
Number 16. We heard from Bertram and Elise earlier about the hardest locations to film, but what about Phil Kogan? What are his hardest seasons?
Are there seasons that stick out in your mind as more grueling than others for you?
Yeah, well, season 3 beat us up more than any other. I think it wasn't until about the 7th night that we actually got to a pillow where we had a real pillow. And then this last season that we just shot, 32, it just knocked all of us out. It was so hard. I don't know. I mean, there's some seasons where you feel like you have a little bit of breathing room, but season 3 and season 32, I took me 6 or 7 nights before and we've only just got back recently, before I actually got some sleep.
Number 17. The winners of season 33 are YouTube celebs, if that's even a thing, though I do see the Holderness family in ads all over Facebook as well, so maybe at this point they're just internet celebs. So with that, they made a parody song about their time on season 33, and I will link the full song in the description below.
Game, set, match! Running down the tunnel and then running through the fog into the finish line. It's the end of the show and we won it. It's the end of the show and we won it. We have no freaking clue how we done it. It's party time.
Number 18. Speaking of season 33, we saw how in leg 3 they had to stop the race due to COVID and they couldn't bring it back for 19 months. So much changed in that time. Some teams couldn't even come back. Some of the reasons being one team had a baby, another team was sick and injured. But for Caro and Ray, this is why they didn't come back.
I had sex with one of my best friends, right? And my ex, Carol, she does not know that. She can't really be mad at me because I was single at the time and there was nothing going on during the actual relationship. 100%, that's on everything.
Surprise!
I think I'm pretty. Then again, I don't know how much Carol knows, so maybe I'm not that.
We heard the entire conversation. The thing is, I was nothing but supportive of your friends. I actually became friends with your mother best friend. I became friends. I am angry because I literally loved you.
Hey, easy.
I don't give a.
You done with the conversation?
I'm done with you.
Okay.
So let me explain. Ray cheated on her multiple times and Caro got kicked off the MTV show for how she acted. Wonderful. This took place, by the way, in between legs 3 and 4, so that's why they didn't come back. Number 19. Ready for a conspiracy theory, or at least a production goof? In season 2, Deidre, I hope I am saying that correctly, I'm sorry if I'm not, has her name spelled a certain way in episodes 1 and 2, as you can see here. But then let's take a look at episode 3 when it's changed. So originally the I is before the E, but then it's changed to have the E before the I. It's very confusing. Which one is right? We may never know. I couldn't find her online anywhere. Number 20. You know I can't go an Amazing Race video without talking about Boston Rob and Amber. So here is Lynn and Alex and Brian and Greg from season 7 making fun of Boston Rob and Amber in the DVD commentary.
Oh yay, Rob and Amber.
Oh, we love those guys. It's your favorite team there, guys.
He's gonna package. Yeah, I know, I was gonna say that. Right?
I wasn't looking at that.
She looks good there. Oh, look, he can easily lift her. He has to hold her from blowing away.
I bet they do that all the time. That is true. Leaves.
See, that's really a fight, but they're showing it as a kiss.
I threw up a little in my mouth. Nice light. There's a huge camera light.
Yeah.
I remember one time I saw Rob and Amber, I think it was in India, and I was like hating them by this point, and I walked by them all, nice lights.
Number 21. Not too long ago, the Challenge USA had a season featuring a bunch of stars from Survivor, Big Brother, and The Amazing Race. Oh, that sounds like an Amazing Race season I've heard of. Anyways, Kayla from season 33, James from season 32, and Leo from seasons 23, 24, and 31 all competed, and I won't spoil how they finished, but it's a fun watch. Number 22, time for some rapid fire secrets. Big Easy from seasons 15, 18, and 24 was literally not allowed to do quite a few tasks based on how big he was. Apparently, it was a logistical nightmare getting him to do some challenges. Some of the tasks he was not allowed to do included the Frit Fall in season 15 and the rappelling in Malaysia in season 24. Number 23, though this is never specifically stated on the show, The Amazing Race aims to do everything in 21 days, but their hard rule is that the season can never be longer than 28 days. 28 days is longer than a modern Survivor season. Get it together, Survivor. Number 24, remember when teams used to be able to beg for money from locals? Not anymore. That rule was changed as the look of Americans on TV begging for money from poorer countries was, how do you say, terrible. It wasn't great. Number 25. Way back in the day, teams used to be able to book as many tickets as they wanted in case they wanted to change flights. This rule was quietly changed, and no one knew why. Many fans guessed it had to do with cost, and little do we know it was because an unnamed team spent $300,000 to block every flight from all the other teams. This is what Bertram said in an interview. Now, which team was this? I don't know. So which secret surprised you the most? Comment below and let me know. Thank you for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.